enjoyed this movie, didn't they? How do you know people will listen to them?
Because they're critics, sir. Like me.
Why do they hate this?
It's the popular opinion, sir. It's all they know.
Well, how many are there?
47 critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. All rotten.
Oh my god, you can't take on 47 on your own. You have to organize. We have opinions too. We'll review it.
No.
Why not?
Critics deserve critics.
One critic versus 47? What are we going to do?
I'm going to insult them all. Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Decker Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Let me give you my personal history with today's movie. A few years ago, I was watching TV late at night when a movie came on. Missing the title when it played, I managed to see the rest of the film in its entirety, and it amazed me. A fan of science fiction and action, this film spoke to my heart on so many levels it pained me to not know what its title was. And it was a movie I did not recognize at all. A couple years on, and I was online reading a worst movies of all time list, and while I saw many mentions of films I detest, I was unprepared for what awaited me at number 1. The movie that had enthralled me from beginning to end, Soldier, starring Kurt Russel. I couldn't believe it, but to make matters worse, the paragraph they gave to explain why they chose it for the worst movie of all time simply said, "This requires no explanation." Like hell it requires no explanation. I loved that movie. What was wrong with it? And you won't even say why you listed it as the absolute worst movie of all time? But maybe I was wrong. I did only see it once, and I could be glorifying it in my memories. After all, with a $75 million budget, the movie only grossed $15 million worldwide. Maybe it really was terrible. But I won't let a critic's opinion cloud my own. I have acquired the movie for myself to review. So let's take a look at the worst movie ever made. So starting off in 1996, we get our first look at the gun-toting, testosterone-fueled action star of this movie. Well, that's a new look. So it starts us in a selection process where the children are chosen at birth and trained their entire lives to be the best soldiers possible. These scenes are a bit disturbing, but I applaud this movie's adherence to the basic rule of show, don't tell. It would be a lot more disappointing, if you ask me, if they just said Kurt went through all this training instead of just letting us see it for ourselves. At 12 years of age, we see vigorous physical training is already a basic part of the regimen. One of the children is lagging behind, however, and a truck pulls up behind him. Oh, they just wanted to give him a dry shirt. Does every movie I watch have to have children being killed in it? Fast forward 4 years later, and we see munitions training. Okay, it's time for Direct This Scene. How will Todd handle this? Oh, that's how. Passing their training, the soldiers are branded and put into active duty. This sequence of wars here is funny to me and entertaining. It's got the chaos and explosions, but no real logic or realism to how the troops advance. It all looks more like levels of a video game, and as it progresses, the sets get more and more outlandish. our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Then we cut to the soldiers' current status, between wars. Why exactly are they all just sitting perfectly still? Are they on a timeout? If I was in charge of a unit of hyper-trained super soldiers, I'd think that in between wars, it'd make a lot more sense to keep the troops drilled to keep their skills sharp. But I digress. Well, Captain Church is told Colonel Meekum is bringing in new soldiers, and Gary Busey? Not quite as skinny as he was in Predator 2, but it has been 8 years, so considering the Predator killed him twice in that movie, I think he looks pretty good. So the new soldiers are about to be introduced, but I can already tell this is going to end badly. Why? Because I didn't bother to clean the corpses off this set before they started filming. Hooray for continuity! So Colonel Meekum walks in, played by Jason Isaacs. Do you think his character design might have been slightly influenced by... who was it?
Was soll das heißen? Sie können Fegelein nicht finden. Dann suchen Sie ihn hin!
Well, it can't seem to come to mind right now, so let's just call him Dolphy.
Sofort!
Busey and crew are looking over the soldiers, and Dolphy is rather proud of the work that's been put into them.
Combination. They're practically manufactured using DNA profiles. And some manipulation.
Busey is less than enthusiastic. However, Dolphy decides to show off the new soldiers' capabilities to help persuade the captain to accept the new men.
How about a few tests, just to get you on board?
99%. That's very good.
99%? How is that even possible? He fired off one clip. And although it's very hard for me to tell exactly what kind of gun that is, most assault rifles have 20-round magazines. That would mean that one bullet off would drop you from 100 to 95% accuracy. You would need at least a 100-round clip to have 99% accuracy even attainable on a test of a single clip. Then, after a short example that they can hold heavy things and spin around in gyrospheres, Dolphy and Busey decide to play Seabiscuit.
Enough, Captain.
What about endurance?
Kane, 607, forward.
Sir!
15 miles, 607 on the run. You've got 60 minutes. Go. My man left exactly 20 minutes after yours. Make a note of that.
So just in case Todd comes in first, you can still complain? Kane easily overtakes Todd and is waiting at the finish line long before Todd arrives.
At ease, soldier.
What is the price of all that speed? Is your soldier tired?
Well, considering he had 5 minutes to rest, probably not.
Sir!
Not satisfied, Busey sends Todd up the chain, with Kane giving him a head start, but easily beating him nonetheless. Gary, I'm beginning to see a pattern here. Listen, it's probably best you just concede to Dolphy and let this all...
What if they fought?
Damn it, Gary, you're not going to be satisfied until somebody loses an eye! Dolphy doesn't think it's fair, though, and has 2 more veteran soldiers head up to contest the new blood.
Get him, man!
The fight here is visceral and pretty easy to follow, considering it's all happening suspended 50 feet up. Also, I personally love the orchestral score used here. There! Happy now, Gary? So, despite fighting literally tooth and nail, Todd falls along with the other 2 veterans. Now, where did I see this before? Can't seem to remember. Oh well.
Look at you. Do you know how much it costs to breed you, you big moron? To train you. To feed you.
Why does Dolphy come off sounding like my grandmother in this scene?
Todd was our best man.
Your men are obsolete.
We get it, Dolphy. You're evil. You're really, really evil. So, as per Dolphy's orders, the bodies are thrown into a space barge and sent to a distant waste planet for disposal. But Todd comes to and... The hell was that? They played it in half speed? Why? Did they decide after the fact that he shouldn't get up quite as quickly? Well, do your directing when the movie's still being filmed, not in the editing room! Reaching the designated dump site, the barge opens up and Todd is unceremoniously dumped onto the planet. Holy shit! That had to be like a 500-foot drop! How did he survive that fall? Of course, the planet appears to have exactly the same gravity as Earth, and he didn't land on anything soft. A mangled heap of metal doesn't exactly make for a comfortable landing at any speed. Wait, no, never mind. How the hell did he survive the trip there? It was a waste barge traveling how far in space? There wouldn't be any reason for them to pressurize heat or provide oxygen to the trash can. So Todd survived an interstellar journey with no food, water, heat, or air, and falling hundreds of feet onto a jagged pile of scrap metal. You know what? Never mind. The opening makes perfect sense. He obviously doesn't need to worry about cover. Bullets probably do nothing to him either. So Todd spots some people on the surface and climbs down in pursuit. He doesn't make it far, however, before he is attacked by the movie's special effects. Continuing on, he eventually reaches a small village. The scare terminator doesn't work on him, and he tries to keep out of sight from the villagers. Oh shit, he's been found by the Children of the Corn! Naturally, the whole town is shaken up by the news of a newcomer in their midst, so a meeting is called to keep the order. Fortunately, only a couple of the distraught populace were given lines, so the meeting remains easy to understand. Determining he came alone and is in need of help, the scene lets us know that they intend to nurse him back to health, and Mace's wife Sandra is apparently the only one capable of doing so as we shift over to her in the next scene. Sandra also happens to be the only person in the entire village to be able to find clothing that isn't the same drab brown fabric and a respectable amount of cosmetics. She presents a medication to Todd, and he obediently accepts it. If everything they have was dumped here as trash, exactly how safe is that medicine she's giving him? We are also introduced to Nathan, Mace's son. Completely mute, he isn't the most annoying child character by far, but sadly, his vacant expression persists throughout the entire film. Normally, if one can't talk, they learn to express themselves through visual displays, but I guess this makes this performance about as good as most child actors anyway. Todd drifts off to sleep, but is startled awake by chaotic noises.
Tiger!
There's another tiger! Help! Help! Help!
What the hell are you doing? As Kurt Russel has no lines here, it's up to interpretation whether he was angry, confused, or possibly just wanted to join in. The day continues and Todd is slowly recovering from his injuries. Sandra provides him with the exposition about the history of the village. Well, so much for show don't tell.
This.
Or maybe the director thought there were a couple more important things to show in this scene.
People died. A few years later, when the dumpers started coming over and dropping stuff, people tried to get their attention with fires and explosions, but it didn't work. They must be unmanned, or maybe they just don't care.
Well, they're probably Wait. Actually, if metal is so worthless in this time that it's just dumped and not recycled, then the most efficient way to dump it would be an unmanned payload in a one-way trip. The fact that they turn around and return from whence they came, well, that does explain the oxygen in the ship to some level as well. Okay. The truth, Sandra, is that nobody gives a fuck about you. Suddenly, we're back with Busey and Dolphy as they plan a routine mission to set up monitoring stations. Dolphy is anxious to see the new soldiers in action, though, so decides to come with and declare any unauthorized settlement as hostile.
But say we do encounter activity. Miners, refugees of some sort.
Well, we won't. If we do, they will be officially classifiable as hostiles.
Just by being there.
We don't want paperwork, Captain, and we certainly don't want passengers. Understood?
Yes, we get it. You're evil. We know. Back with Todd and Sandra, and she teaches him today's lessons. Whack the snake! Apparently, Nathan has been bitten before, and that is why he is mute. Well, I hope her next bit of exposition explains why he's always staring off into his space blankly, because I'd really like to know. But we've got more important things to deal with, as Jimmy is strapped in to collect the useless trash positioned right beside the massive Wheel of Death. I can't imagine what could go wrong with this plan. The wind kicks up right on cue, and Jimmy's rags get caught in the salvage as he tries to get away. He struggles, but can't make it to the wire before the wind is too strong to push through. The wheel of quick and messy death is going full force, and Jimmy is just out of reach. Now, if the wind is strong enough to pick up a hefty guy like him clean off the ground, how is it everyone else is still firmly planted? The wire doesn't look quite that strong. Everyone's combined efforts can't pull him back, but Jimmy is saved in the nick of time when Todd reels him in. Okay, when's Todd gonna stop bullshitting already and just use his laser eye power to destroy the Wheel of Death? And come to think of it, in the 12 years the people have lived in this world, they never thought to dismantle or disable the Wheel of Death? Everyone is overjoyed that Jimmy is alive, or maybe that they wouldn't have to clean up the mess he would leave all over the set. Not sure. When Todd finds some salvage that he thinks looks quite useful.
Gun, please.
Thanks, partner.
So, now the movie wants to convey Todd's life on this planet, living and learning with the people. And what better way to do that in an action movie than with a montage? Wait, what? This sequence doesn't tell us anything new, really, just that Todd doesn't seem to comprehend the normal manner of life, but does like boobs. And therefore, I can identify with him. The song of this sequence comes completely out of nowhere, a sort of folk music. Now, that may convey the small community and camaraderie of the people, but this is a montage. It's supposed to have something like Pat Benatar, damn it. So Todd is helping Sandra slice carrots while Nathan plays. Well, you do always put a little bit of yourself into everything you make. Sandra helps him and tries to strike up a conversation.
What's it like being a soldier? What do you think about? You must think about something.
Based on the montage, he's been mostly thinking about your breasts.
You must feel something.
Fear.
Ah! Oh, that was just Todd speaking.
Fear and discipline.
Now?
Always.
Wait, so Big Tough Soldier Man is afraid of this little lady? Yes. Yes, he is. Ah! So we abruptly jump into the next scene, where apparently it's Christmas on Trash World and everyone is celebrating. Well, that's how I usually end up looking at most Christmas parties. So we see Mace and Sandra get Nathan a... Wait a minute! That's the same toy he was playing with earlier! Just because he can't complain doesn't mean your son appreciates you taking his old toys and rewrapping them for Christmas, you jerks!
Merry Christmas, Sergeant!
Why'd you pull the beard off, Jimmy? How do you think Todd's gonna react finding out that there's no Santa Claus? Very poorly, it would seem. So Todd can't handle all the overstimulation and chaos of the Christmas party, so he takes himself just outside of view for the remainder. The next day, Todd is exercising by beating the hell out of one of the various pieces of scrap metal. Jeez, don't people throw away things other than metal and human carcasses on this world?
You're supposed to be doing your lessons.
And how do you expect them to perform their lessons when there's metallic clanging echoing throughout the village? As Todd continues, he suffers from more flashbacks.